So I got about 4 weeks before my Spartan-specific, and this week of the cut was actually my biggest week of the entire cut. I finished this past week at 209.5 pounds with 14.5% body fat. So that's 3 pounds less than I weighed in last Saturday. Right now in the cut, I'm not so focused on just the number on the scale, because in 4 weeks when I do my Spartan-specific, I not only want to look a certain way, but I want to be able to perform a certain way. So that's why the next 4 weeks are going to be a little bit different in preparation for my Spartan-specific. What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another video. My name is Bryce Dettorre. I am a husband, I am a father, I am a special education teacher, and I am someone who enjoys fitness and always trying to improve. And right now I am in week 11 of a 12-week cut. Meanwhile, I'm 4 weeks out from my next Spartan race, which is going to be the Spartan-specific. And what's crazy is this last week, so week 11 of the cut, was actually my biggest week. Like I said, it was my biggest week. And wasn't my biggest week because I lost the 3 pounds, even though that's the most I've lost in a single week this entire cut, but it's because it was my best week when it comes to being able to execute on everything I've been trying to improve for the 12-week cut. Basically my discipline of when I say I'm gonna do something, whether that be meal prep, whether that be sticking to my nutrition plan, whether that be hitting my steps, whether that be hitting my cardio sessions, my conditioning sessions, my training sessions, whatever it was, I stuck to every single one and I executed them. And I think that's what I'm most proud of with all out of the 11 weeks, is because even though things in life happen, just like this past week and weeks prior to this, I am at a point now where it's become habits and just a routine that I not only am able to execute, but I'm actually enjoying the process. Even if the process, like I said in my previous videos, the process to lose weight, body fat, maintain muscle, and become a better person at whatever you're trying to get better, it's a very boring process. And that's what excites me, is I'm enjoying boring and being able to execute it. All right, so like I said, let's look at the numbers from last Saturday, because like I said, I do this every Saturday. I weigh in every single day, but then I made a spreadsheet basically that calculates the average for the week. So I don't get too excited, I don't get too down about whatever my weight is on the scale that morning. I'm always looking at an overall weekly average to go down. So like I said, last Saturday, I weighed in at 212.6. Yesterday, I weighed in at 209.5, and my weekly average for the entire week last week was 214.9, so almost 215. And then my weekly average for this past week is 212.5. So again, basically a 2.5 pound drop for the weekly average, almost a 3 pound drop. And then my body fat went from 15.1 last Saturday to 14.5 this Saturday. And obviously I'm super happy about that. But I'm also realistic that I don't expect the next week to be another 3 pound drop. I don't know, it might be, but again, with this being this far in the cut, I don't expect to see the weight keep dropping that much. But then again, since I am back at work and I'm getting a lot more steps in throughout the day, I'm not at home around foods that I might cheat on my diet on. So it forces me to stick to it and be a little bit more strict. So that may play a role in it too. But all in all, my goals for this next couple weeks is just to keep doing the daily routines that I built for this past 11 weeks, and hope that obviously the weight keeps trending down. Meanwhile, I'm able to perform. My performance goes up. That's what I want. The weight to trend down and my performance to go up. And the reason why is because, like I said, I got a Spartan race in 4 weeks, and this is a race that I've done before, so I would obviously like to improve my time. So I still have a goal of losing weight. However, the target is aimed at something else right now. My goal is just to not show up lighter on race day, but I want to show up ready. I want to be able to be lean. I want to be strong. I want to have confidence in my running ability. I want to be able to handle the obstacles that obviously the race has, and then make sure obviously my grip strength is where it needs to be for a race day. Basically, I want to be able to climb, carry, pull, push, jump, whatever it done. Like I said, I've done this race before, a lot of steps, a lot of incline, not so much running, but I definitely want to make sure that my legs are prepared for that amount of volume of like step ups. And there's a point in this where it's not like losing more weight is going to make me perform better. Right now I'm also focusing on fueling for the actual race. So I think my race starts at 12:30. I'll have to check that. But now the next couple Saturdays leading up to that, I will do basically a trial run of where I, instead of working out at like 5 o'clock in the morning, I will actually work out at the time that I will run, just so that way I obviously that race day morning, I can prepare for how I'm gonna fuel, meaning my breakfast, my pre-workout drink, my pre-workout meal, all leading up to the race. I will start testing that prior to race day, because that's the last thing you wanna do is wake up race day and then eat how you would normally eat, and maybe that's not the best way to perform. So like I said, now the goal is to stick to my meal plan, which I am in a deficit, so I should still lose weight, but at the same time, pay attention to how I'm gonna be able to fuel and then focus on my performance for that race in 4 weeks. As for my training, nothing's really gonna change, because the way I train is kind of just, it's like that saying, if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. The way I train, I don't just do like bodybuilding or hypertrophy training, or I don't just do like endurance training or conditioning training. I kind of do it all. Again, just because I want to always be able to look a certain way, and then be able to perform a certain way, whether that's in strength, whether that's in endurance, or whether that's in conditioning. So I'm still gonna be, right now, actually last week I worked out 7 days. I know that's kind of a lot, but I worked out 7 days, I ran 5, and then I had 3 conditioning pieces. And the focus of them is always to be able to perform while fatigued. That's the point of the conditioning pieces, or even the running pieces, because I usually do my running sessions after a strength session. So like this morning, I got legs, and then after that, I got a 75-minute run, I think. So my legs are already gonna be sore, and I gotta go run for 75 minutes. I'm trying to train that way, because a Spartan race isn't just running a 5K or a 3.2 miles or whatever it is with 20 obstacles. It's, you got to do all that running while you're tired, while you're beat up. Like I've said before, your lower back's taxed, your calves are taxed, your legs are sore, your upper body's sore from all the carrying. Like, that is what I am training. I don't know how many Spartan races I've done. I would have to say it's probably over about 20, and that's what I've probably gotten from the most. If I train like hypertrophy and then just do some running, when I come race day, you're not really prepared. You have to incorporate that conditioning where you are doing conditioning and running fatigued, meanwhile you're doing, the echo bike or the ski erg while you're already fatigued. Not saying you do the ski erg and not saying you do the echo bike on the actual race, but those are both very taxing. So if you're able to run, do some of that, go back to running, do some of that, go back to running, from my experience, that's probably the most effective way of training, as opposed to, oh, I'm gonna run, do some pull-ups, oh, I'm gonna run, I'm gonna do some push-ups. Like, you could incorporate that, but again, when it comes to the conditioning, I like to have a lot of different modalities in it. And then having a specific goal, this is where the actual discipline comes back to it. I've always said that there's a difference between training and working out. Now that I have obviously a goal of doing a race, which again, I've had this thought in my mind for a while, pretty much when I started the cut, I knew I was gonna be doing a race, but now that it's, okay, the cut's about to come to an end, so what am I gonna work towards? Well, now I'm already going straight into a Spartan race, so now I'm training for that. And what I've noticed is that on the days where you don't feel like training, and you don't feel like running, and you don't feel like doing your conditioning, if you are training for something and trying to get better, I'm not saying it makes it easier, because it doesn't. I think it helps. It helps, I guess, you stay disciplined to the point where you want to go out and you want to train, because you don't want to show up on race day and be absolutely miserable. And like I said before, that's where the discipline comes in. It's not like you wake up every single day and you're excited to eat the same meal you've eaten for the past 4 weeks, or it's not like you're going to wake up super excited to go for a run or work out. It's the fact that you said you were going to do something, and no matter how you feel or how motivated you are, you go out and do it. That was the whole point of this cut, is to get back into being disciplined, that when I say I'm gonna do something, I actually do it. So when I picture myself on race day in 4 weeks, I don't have like a specific number in mind, because originally it was to get to 10% body fat, whatever that would be on the scale. And obviously I'd like to look super lean come race day. I think the leanest I've ever been for a Spartan race was 194 or 196 pounds. and I was very lean. I don't know if my performance was the best because I was in such a deficit, and that's where I'm like, I'm not too concerned about numbers at this point. I am very happy with where I look or how I look compared to how I looked, 11 weeks ago. So I'm cool with that, but now it's like I'm actually kind of geared towards how am I gonna perform. I want to look athletic, I wanna feel strong, and I want to feel conditioned, but at the same time, when the race comes, I actually wanna feel very race ready, like confident in my training, confident in my conditioning, my strength's gonna be there, my cardio is going to be there. I don't want to show up to race day knowing like, oh, did I prepare enough? Like I want to, like I said, show up like, okay, let's do this. I am ready for this. And then at the same time, I want to see what the training produces. Like I said, I have a time. I got to look at it of how I did this race previously. But if I could beat that time, then I know this training block and training program was effective. So like I said, nothing's changing. I'm not cutting more calories. I'm not changing my conditioning. I'm not changing my workout. I might have a deload week, like maybe this week or next week, just to kind of give my body a little bit of break. Still train, but not as intense as I've been. And then come back the last like 2 weeks, have a good session, and then have actually the actual race week. So like I said, all the boring stuff, I'll stick to my meals. I'll get my daily steps in. I'll get my conditioning in. I'll get my lifts in, and let the work that I've already put in hopefully show up on actual race day. So that is week 11 recap. Weight, 209.5. Body fat, 14.5% body fat. And my biggest week of this cut so far. And now I have 4 weeks until race day. I spent the last 11 weeks trying to become a better version of myself physically, but what I think I've seen is the bigger transformation is that how much my word is actually like meaning to me right now. That when I say I'm gonna do something, I have a lot more confidence that I will follow through. I'm not saying that, again, everything I say I do exactly, but the percentage of things I do after I say I'm gonna do them is a lot higher now than it was 11 weeks ago. And my plan is obviously just to keep improving that with the hope that one day when I say what I'm gonna do, there's no doubt that it's like 100% I'm following through on that. So that's my biggest takeaway from week 11. And I think that's why this was my biggest week of this cut so far. So if you guys enjoyed this video, if you guys want to see more of this videos, if you want to see what I end up weighing in at next week for my final 12-week cut, and then also how my race ends up going in 4 weeks, make sure you subscribe to the channel, comment below if you have any questions, and then you guys already know the motto: stay happy, stay healthy, and above all, don't be average. I will see you guys next week for the final week of the cut.